This is English shorthand dictation number 108 and the dictation speed is 160 words per minute. Ready? Start. Sir, I thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to speak on this bill. I would like to compliment the Honorable Minister and his ministry for bringing forward this bill. I stand here in total support of the tribunal, but there are a few queries in my mind. I do not doubt his integrity or intentions in bringing forward this bill. I feel the bill needs to be strengthened in respect of a few topics which I would like to highlight. Since I have little time, I would just come to the points. In the context of the 86th report of the Law Commission, there was a suggestion that the tribunal has to be in every state so that it is more accessible and quicker in disposing the matter. That is not found here. The tribunal is going to be in the 4 regions, that is East, West, North and South. So the accessibility of the tribunal is really not going to reach the end person who really needs access to it. Secondly, clause 14 of the bill says that the power to settle disputes, if it involves a substantial question relating to environment, is relating to Schedule 1. Schedule 1 specifically does not cover ecology, wetlands and lakes. All these do not come under the term pollution. So, I would urge upon the Honorable Minister to guide us. The whole idea of getting this tribunal in this specific bill is about the right to live. He is talking about the right to live. If he is talking about the right to live, it takes beyond food and livelihood. It is about air, water, environment and everything. So, this particular point in clause 14 does not cover the entire meaning in the constitution of it. The Honorable Supreme Court has specifically said that environment has to come in this. So I would definitely like him to clarify it and enlighten how this issue will be covered. The other point is about civil courts. The civil court was an option for people before the tribunal happened. Now this has been removed because of the tribunal. So, if a person in any part of rural India likes to make an intervention about his environment, he may not be able to go to a tribunal. Would this be really the right way to go forward? The accessibility to the civil court has been totally diluted. Would the civil courts be considered to be brought in again? It is not possible for every person to go to the tribunal and then go straight to the Supreme Court. Anyway, it is a double-edged sword. If you take it into 2 phases, you go to the tribunal and then straight away to the Supreme Court. For a big company, it could be a very easy option, but I am not sure a common man can go quickly to a tribunal or a high court. It is an option for him to prolong or delay the process, but it can be used either way by both the parties. If you could kindly clarify this point, I would be happy. The other point is that the power of framing schemes does not exist, which the Supreme Court had earlier in respect of the Environment Ministry when they used to take decision on this. It is like environmental solutions. If you remember, when the issue of the Taj Mahal came, they said that the color was changing. There was a policy decision taken by the Supreme Court. All the businesses which were there were moved out. So it was an environmental solution given by the Honorable Supreme Court. Will this tribunal be able to support, monitor and do a follow-up? I say this because it is not just a case of gas leak or water getting polluted in an area. Suppose this happens somewhere and there is effluent coming out. Should there not be a monitoring system? Even if you go to the court, the Supreme Court would monitor it, but I feel this is lacking in this bill. This is a very important thing and this is more applicable to chemical zones. There are a lot of chemical zones in this country. If you see the state of Maharashtra where I come from, most chemical zones are near rivers. So after all the pollution damages that they have caused, do we have an option of shifting those plants from there? Could that be an option? We will have to review this entirely and it is more for the chemical zones. I think environmental solutions are extremely crucial for this tribunal. The other thing is about molding the requirement of relief. When we talk about civil courts, the civil courts do not have the option of doing it. Take the case of Bhopal gas tragedy where repercussions had come out much later. Suppose something happens today and you do not know what the repercussions are going to be for 5 or 10 years, and if there is a requirement of molding the relief, will this tribunal have the right to do it? That is the clarification I am looking to get from the Honorable Minister, because environment is about nature. It is not about suing one party or the other and the issue ending there. It is about long-term consequences which are going to affect the whole society. Then I would like to make a point regarding amicus curiae, because these are environmental issues and they need very specific interventions. We need super specialty people to come and make interventions. Would this tribunal help them research? Would this tribunal have this option which will help them study the matter about the ground reality and not just go by reports made by people? There is one more point about strict liability, about hazardous effects. There is no strong reaction because there are a lot of people who do a lot of business and they promise a lot of things. For example, as it happened in the case of Bhopal gas tragedy, where they said that they considered everything and they gave an assurance, but there can be freak accidents. So, when dealing with such cases, I feel the company has to pay for the consequent damages that they cause. So, there has to be a strict liability clause for that purpose in this bill. The other two things which are missing in this bill are the doctrine of public trust and intergenerational equity. I think when these projects are taken up, they are long-term projects. They are not there just for 5 or 10 years. They are there for generations ahead, and generations have paid a price because sometimes people there start having upper respiratory tract infections. That is the first reaction to air pollution, and after 5 or 10 years you realize that the entire block there is suffering from cancer. There have been such instances and the Honorable Minister is very much aware of these situations. So, does the Minister think that this bill has covered these issues? The last point that I would like to make is about the appointment of chairperson and other members of this tribunal. There are a lot of government people involved. If you are having 10 people, all the people could be from the government and it could be a government dominated body. So, how are you going to keep a fine balance? I am not insisting that there have to be NGOs and I am not defending the NGOs. But you really need to have people who really work on the field. We have a great minister right now who thinks that environment is a big deal. We all need to realize that. But there can be changes at all levels. The intention of the bill is very good. But how are we going to make sure that the people involved in this tribunal also feel the same way? I am sure the Honorable Minister will clarify these points. I thank the Honorable Minister for bringing this bill. We all talk about the issue of global warming and climate change, and India being a participant in the global negotiations, I am sure it will definitely make a difference to this country. Mr. Chairman, sir, environmental crimes are the most serious crimes in the world, not only because they hurt you immediately, but they hurt all the generations due to come. Mining, poisoning the rivers for gold panning, throwing sewage into the water, opening polluting industries and ignoring all the current laws, whether from brick kilns to chemical factories, damming rivers just to give money to contractors, allowing inappropriate factories near forests, allowing inappropriate hotels outside sanctuary areas, allowing the sale of polluting consumer goods like firecrackers, the sale of flooring material that have clearly come from destroying hill ranges like the Aravalli, The export of leather and minerals are genocidal crimes, not less than war by a few upon the whole of India. To treat them so lightly as civil issues rather than criminal ones, and to allow the polluter to pay his way, probably from the same money that he has earned by polluting the area, is cynical and shows collusion with the enemy. Before I start, I am going to talk about the minister. The minister is like a rain upon the desert, as I said before. We have waited for 20 years for a good minister, and he and I share the same values. We have had 20 years of contract-driven ministers, or ministers who did not understand what they were doing.